and welcome back to End, the podcast where we talk about all things ponies and some things not. Joining me today are, as always, Cabralo95.
He said, "Oh."
Yes, I did. Lightning Rapid.
Hello.
Joel Links, the Gothic Hippie.
Evening, chaps, and it's Linsk.
Okay, well...
I say
fine.
lint.
Links.
You say lint.
Fine,
I
Mr.
say
Lint.
It's Linsk.
pocket lint. So,
And I forgot to come up with
Wingardium
names.
Leviosa.
I'm very sorry for all of you because I forgot to come up with funny names. Oh, well.
it's okay. I have a funny name, Cabral 095. Which is actually a 0 and not an O. So,
Oh
Well,
my.
Today, I thought we'd actually... Well, I didn't think. Lightning actually...
I thought.
Yeah, Lightning, I'm sorry. Lightning Rabbit actually came up with a rather interesting topic to talk about. Lightning, why don't you introduce it
don't
for
do
us?
it.
Well, in light of the recent announcements by Sony and whoever makes Xbox...
Oh, my chair! Sorry, my chair fell.
no, I just remembered as I said that. About the new Xbox 720, it's probably going to be called, and the PlayStation 4.
Yes.
I was thinking that there's a lot of kind of debate between PC, Mac, and console users, and it normally gets quite heated about what is
So we're
better.
going to get in the middle of this heated argument.
Yeah, basically, and discuss which one, or not even which one is better. It's to kind of dispel the argument and say that which one is better in its own field and why they're not the same thing, so you can't really compare them.
So we're going to tell people what they're wrong about now? Oh, alright.
Yeah, I'm sure this won't piss off anyone.
Yeah, I'm
so,
sure we won't get any angry comments.
No.
But you know, you need
Mac
to take
is the
risks.
best video game playing software. No, I'm kidding.
Mac is the best computer system for playing
You
games,
messed it up.
clearly.
Well, we have already pissed off the Mac users. Let's see
Yeah.
where we can go from here.
I am a Mac user, and I am
I'm
actually
using
a
a
PC
Mac,
user.
though.
I'm on a Mac
Consoles
and a
are
PC.
limited.
Oh, by the
Ah.
way, I just want to say, people who make video games make Sith Lords 2 for Mac. They already did for the first KOTOR. They need to do it for the second one.
Oh, and I say Old Republic is amazing,
Mac
but
made themselves different.
yeah, but actually, I don't.
Oh, God.
Are there any pictures of the 720? Actually, I'm looking through, and
There are no pictures. There's only a picture of the controller for it, which is kind of weird considering it was just like big reveal, and we're
do
only
you have a
gonna show
picture
the
we can show?
controller.
Do we have a
I
picture
think
we
I
can show
should
them?
wait for the Xbox 1080. But I'm guessing that's where the next one comes.
Mm,
The-
you're
actually,
thinking about
yeah.
video format.
But let's actually go over the Xbox system with its humble beginnings back in the early 2000s. It came out in 2000, I believe, right? It was the turn of century, the console system, right?
Yep, I was but a lad.
I was but a wee lad.
Mm.
The Xbox system is actually, for me personally, I'll just give it a bit of backstory, but it is one of the first systems I played next to the PlayStation 1, and of course the older Nintendo stuff, which have been out forever. It's still going, not as strong, but they're still going. Xbox itself, I like it because of the games it has compared to PlayStation, like 3, if we go with 360 and, and the 720, I was going to say 720, and PlayStation 3. I do like Xbox games better than PlayStation 3's. Now, where PlayStation 3, though, it is more graphics and quality than sometimes gameplay, I think.
Now, what games do the Xbox 360 have that aren't available on other
Halo, the
systems?
Halo
'Cause I'm-
series, the Halo series has always been Xbox. What else was there? Something else.
Let's see, we got Halo and
Oblivion.
Halo.
Oblivion. That was another one for Halo, Xbox only. I'm sure there's a lot. I have to remember them now. But let's see. What else?
Well,
Was there?
to be fair,
But here's the thing
Oblivion,
that's about to get me all the hate in the world.
Yeah.
I've
Hold on,
never
hold on.
played Halo.
Okay.
Well, if you don't own an Xbox, that wouldn't really be, possible.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's true.
I did have a picture once, or not a picture, but it was like a chart which showed exclusive releases for all the different platforms. And, like, as nice as I'm sure consoles are, the PC, in favour of that, did have the most exclusive releases over the course of
It
its
did.
life. I know it's been around longer, but it does have the
Yeah,
most, like, the
It's
largest list.
more of because the PC is more adaptable to gaming than, like, say, an Xbox. In an Xbox, you can't play PlayStation 2 games, and there are some games that are only available for PlayStation 2, whereas the PC, it's often the company makes it for PC and its console.
Yeah.
Which, I was just gonna say, when you said Oblivion was for the Xbox, it was also as a Bethesda game, so it also came out for the PC.
Oh, okay, yeah, see? But it wasn't for PlayStation 2.
True. Wait, no, neither was.
Was it?
Hold on, are you thinking about? Wait, no, the Oblivion came out during the console generation after that, so that would have been the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Morrowind came out for the Xbox.
Okay, that's what. Okay, yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So, what were you saying, Lightning? I lost my mind.
I didn't really. I'd finished what I was saying.
Oh,
I was
that's right,
Saying
yeah.
that.
Do you ever have your mind, AR?
No, I really don't. But that's right. We're talking about the PC
So
thing.
if we
but,
start off
yeah.
with, in fact, actually, PlayStation 4 is a good place to start because they've released their specs for the new what's his face console.
PS4.
Yes, the PS4. And I'll be honest, when you compare them to the PlayStation 3, the specs are definitely a lot better. They're about, I'd say, from my kind of guesstimations of computer projects and things, I'd probably say it's about a mid-range PC. And the only reason I say that, because, I mean, well, if I read off the specs, who here has a kind of kind of computing knowledge-y thing?
A little bit, not too much though. But maybe we have a couple of fans who are like that.
Yeah,
Wait, we might not even have fans anyway.
Maybe our listeners will know, but continue.
Yes. Well,
what is a teraflop?
A teraflop? Oh God! How do I explain what a teraflop is? It's not that complicated, but they're like it's to do with
it's the speed. It processes things.
It's to do with like processing speed. I guess is the best way of like.
We're gonna get told by some random commenter.
It has
you
like
keep
really
talking.
long
I'll be back in
equations.
just a moment.
Yeah, it has like really long equations and things for how to calculate it.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Moving on. Go ahead. You're gonna say some
it's
specs.
Like operations per second. Operations per second or something. But yeah, it has for its CPU, it has 8 cores, and I think there's like people were speculating that it'll have like 1.6 or something gigahertz per core. Now, that's not too bad. I did the math on this a while ago, but if we go to 1.6 gigahertz times by 8 cores, that is 12.8 gigahertz altogether. And just as a kind of thing to compare it against, my CPU is 3.5 gigahertz per core, but I've only got 4 cores, so that's 14. So it's 14 versus. I mean, to be fair, in that case, like, it's probably a little bit more.
Yeah, and actually, looking at that again, what you said, the Xbox 360, because it's listed here next to the specs. I don't think we have a screenshot we can show, but anyways, maybe a link or something. I don't know. Anyway, looking at here, it says the CPU is 3.2 gigahertz. I don't know if is that per core, because it's a tri-power core. I know that.
It's got 3 cores.
Okay, yeah, but is that 3.2 per core?
3.2 per core. Let me have a look.
Because if it is though, but that's I mean they only get 1.6 per core with.
Are these the leaked specs? Because they haven't released any actual official specs for the Xbox 720.
No, I said that for the 360. Downgrading a bit.
Oh, the 360. Okay, yeah, the 360. That's 9.6 gigahertz, and yes, that'd be per core.
Okay.
So I'd probably say, like, I mean, because my processor is an i7-3770 by Intel, which is one of the high-end, relatively.
He would know that
processors. Yeah, well, it costs quite a lot of money, so that's what I'm going with. Normally, the expensive. No, that's not necessarily true. But the point I'm trying to make is that I'd say that the 8 cores is actually, it should be quite powerful then, because it's only if my one's 14 gigahertz and that's 12.8. I know that's still quite a big difference, because every like hertz matters, because you get people who are paying like £50 more for something that does it ever so slightly quicker. But the point is that it's a pretty good system. The only thing I will say though is that 8 cores, unless they start making games that can use all 8 cores, it's not really going to be very useful.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to be able to have the games use those cores, but also it doesn't necessarily have to be for the games as well. You can use them for storage or something like that as well on the system. And plus, the PlayStation 3 was noted for its Blu-ray playability, unlike other game consoles. And
yeah, that's true.
so that's something that they may also be introducing as another feature, maybe something else with a better Blu-ray player. But then again, you wouldn't need 8 cores to run a Blu-ray player. I mean, seriously.
No.
But once again, it might not be specifically for the game. It might be some other additional feature, like maybe it can make you ice cream or something like that.
I'm fairly certain.
And I also heard with the PS4 that they're going to be implementing some kind of button you can press to make Let's Plays easier for people to
Oh, that's
upload.
right. Yeah, I heard about that.
And I was listening to a fellow reviewer by the name of Angry Joe talk about that. And the one problem is that they won't be doing it to like your own like live stream. They're going to be putting it on their own stuff.
I see.
Or something like that. I don't really exactly know what he said, but a lot of these people who do this on like Blip TV and Channel Awesome and people like, will they still be getting all the credit that they did to make these Let's Plays, or is it all going to go to
It's a good
like
point.
PlayStation?
Yeah, that is a good point. I will just quickly say, like, so going back to the specs again, memory-wise, it has 8 gigabytes, which is like, it depends, because at the moment, the kind of average that you'll need to play games is like 4 gigabytes, is generally like the minimum requirement. So 8 gigabytes it's not actually more than they'd need, because see, this is getting quite technical now. There's a difference between GDDR5 and GDDR4 and 3, because
no one knows what these letters mean. Should you elaborate on them?
It stands for graphics double data rate, basically.
Okay.
Does not compute.
So basically, if I explain it very basically, from what I understand, I might get this wrong, but basically, it's graphics double data rate. So you times it by 5 or 4 or 3 or whatever the number at the end is. So the point with GDDR5 is that it's supposed to be better for applications that require high bandwidth. Bandwidth being
internet.
Yeah, internet and things like that. So there's
I'll be right
that,
back.
and also I think if it's got the word, see, this is where I get slightly. I think if it's the graphics, instead of just being DDR, if it's got the G in front of it, I think that means that it's integrated into a graphics card, or it's designed specially for graphics cards. And so what that means is that while it will be faster because it's got GDDR5, and for instance my memory is GDDR3, it'll be faster, but it only works for graphics cards. It doesn't do the rest of the things. I think that's how it works.
And none of this has to do with Dance Dance Revolution, right? My brain is full of that every time you say DDR.
DDR, no, it hasn't got anything to do. Wait, what was your thing again? DDR was...
Dance Dance Revolution, the
no,
game from
it's
a while
not Dance
ago.
Dance Revolution. It is definitely
doing it.
double data rate.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think, because I mean, my one, what does my one have in it? It's just got basically, if it's a computer, it will generally have DDR, and if it's a console, it'll have GDDR because it's built into the graphics card, or not built in, but it's specifically for the graphics card.
Yeah.
To quote my friend Mark, I feel like the 7th wheel on a 4-wheel car.
Yes.
Because I have no idea what any of those numbers or words
Yeah,
mean.
see, that's the thing. Also,
Basically, the higher the number generally means that it works faster.
that's going to be with most things, but with golf, you kind of want lower numbers. So that's something
Yeah.
that's going to have to be settled later. Anyway,
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about golf in that respect, though.
I
Like,
was.
if we ignore golf,
The thing that I care about is how good the gameplay is,
Mm-hmm.
and how much the systems are.
Yeah, that's
mean,
another thing also, because... Yeah?
I could care less about online gaming
Uh-huh.
because that's just me.
Uh-huh.
I don't like playing with like just random people on the internet, so I don't care about that. Hate me if you want, people.
I will
That's
hate
just
you.
how I am. I also really don't mind if the game takes a little longer to load. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, God, this is so slow, but I don't really.
As long
really
as you get to play the game, essentially.
as long as it's relatively quick. I mean, a second, 5-second load
Yeah.
times isn't something I feel like is worth like $800 of my money.
Uh-huh.
it's like startup times. Like people buy SSDs, which are solid state drives.
Oh, yeah, I
And
have
they
one of
are
those for
a
my
lot-
Mac.
Yeah, they're a lot faster than hard drives, and if you put your operating system on it, you can boot your computer in a ridiculously fast time. But,
Yeah.
and you get people who put videos on YouTube saying, look how fast I can boot my computer. But the thing is, does it really matter if you do it 5 seconds faster than everyone else? Or like 10 seconds faster than everyone else? Because
Well, comparing it to my old PC, my PC takes some minutes, whereas my Mac, click, oh, it's on, essentially.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I'm not complaining about like minutes. I'm
Yeah,
talking about, like,
I get what you're talking about.
Second load
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
like
'Cause-
people who like change their phone to the next one just because it's like 2 seconds faster.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like those people.
I think that's
I
just
mean-
like a waste of your money. Whereas you can
Yeah.
save up your money for more games or more
Mhm.
things, and I still don't have any problem with my PS3. I know a lot of people have lots of problems
Yeah.
with PS3s, but I really don't see a
And-
lot of the problems.
And there are those
Well-
couple things. It's like when you get cars, people complain about one thing with their car. You're like, and you have the same car as them. You're like, but mine just working just fine in that area. It's one of those slightly mistuned things that always happens with those one or two things. But also, you mentioned price earlier. I want to say the PS3 when it first came out was $600. That's a little over the top. I think.
don't have that kind of money, and I don't think a lot of gamers
No.
would like that. So,
Exactly.
Which is why I waited a long time.
Exactly.
To get,
You wait.
the system, and I got my system out of a fluke because my brother played the impossible game at Odyssey Fun World and just like won a PS3, and I'm like, sweet, mine. And
Nice.
but still, it's a PS3 is still $300.
Yeah, it's more expensive than an Xbox, actually.
That's
Yeah, quite a
still a
bit.
considerable amount of money.
It is.
Yes, and unfortunately, one of the problems that people are seeing with the announcement of the PS4 is the fact that it looks really expensive.
That's
Yeah,
what
they
I
don't-
was
don't-
thinking.
And it's going to be really expensive.
I bet it
It's
is.
going to be like twice as much as
Particularly
the last.
The fact that it's Sony that's selling this thing, and also the fact that it's new, and the fact that it, unlike the other one, has like 8 cores and is like ridiculously
And it
fast
also has the
compared to
Blu-ray
the
player
old
again
one.
as well.
Yeah, they'll be trying, like, the worst thing I think they could do is try and sell it for the price of a computer, because the whole point of a console was that it was cheaper than a computer,
Well,
but could
based
play
on,
the same
based on
games.
based on their history and how much they said went into this product, I can safely assume it's going to be to the $700 range or the $800.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive. And also another thing with the consoles themselves, they're not just necessarily computers. They're specifically built for one thing, and that is to play a game. Now they're just adding on new features. It's like a car, where you just get a car as a car, but we've developed it over time, so now you can call people in your car. You can have your car drive you someplace. There are cars now that will sometimes drive you places. They have cars parked for you now.
I think the
I
problem
mean,
is,
it's fun to have all these these different little applications for like video gaming, but I really don't use
Yeah, a
a
lot of the
lot of
things
these.
they make.
I mean, I do abuse using my Wii for Netflix.
That is
and,
one of the big features. People use the Wii for Netflix. The 360 does it well as too, actually.
Can I just quickly make a
They
point,
all
though?
use the
No,
they
Lightning,
all
you can't.
use Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
still,
No,
Lightning, yeah. Could you
Yeah.
please?
all my point was is that if, hypothetically speaking, let's say that it costs around the £700 mark. Now, not trying to, sound like I'm showing off or anything, but I did spend £800 on my computer, and
Oh, rich
not
man
only
here.
are its specs, honestly, it took me so long to save up for this
I
thing.
know.
Not only are my specs better than the PlayStation 4, but also as a computer, it can do a lot more than
Yeah.
the PlayStation 4 can. So I don't think it's right to put the price up that high because, I mean, even if you really want to get nitpicky, personally I prefer gameplay over graphics, but if there's someone out there who wants, like,
That's why people still buy Nintendo. It's gameplay over graphics.
yeah, if someone wants really good graphics, I'm not sure about the PlayStation 4 because it looks like they've upgraded it a lot, but if it's anything like the previous consoles, they're still going to have to downgrade the graphics somewhat if they're going to put it on there. Because if you get a PC game and then an Xbox 360 game, like the same game, and put them next to each other, the quality is still different because
It's built for different things. One's built
Yeah.
for a TV,
the
one's built
PC
for a screen.
can-
yeah,
Also, the PC has more, variety in what it can do. So I mean, it
Yeah.
can be played at a much lower resolution. I certainly have played plenty of games on the PC which are much uglier than when I play them on my console. But that's because I turn down the graphics to make them run better.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, a PC can also go up much higher than
yeah.
the console.
A console is, for the most part, a console will be stuck with certain set graphics in their looks. Whereas
the console will be about mid-range. Yeah.
Yes.
And I would say also just quickly, this PlayStation 4 is supposed to have x86 to 64. Wait, let me just quickly. Yeah, it's got an x86 architecture, which you don't really need to know what that means, but basically,
So he's
it
going to
means
explain what
that-
it means.
well, basically what it means, like in terms of games, is that it'll be easier to port things from the computer to console
Okay,
or
I
vice
see.
versa.
Uh-huh.
So, because it uses the same sort of architecture
Yeah.
as they have on computers. But the problem is that computers, like, for all of the people who moan and say consoles are better, just as a kind of, like, not news flash, I mean, like, the fact is that computers, they have more, like, going for them in the respect that, unlike consoles, when the time comes where there are games that are too advanced for your computer, you can upgrade it. They tend to have better graphics anyway, and there are more games that come out for them.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can mod games, you can do any number of things to games. I think it might even be possible with like an emulator or something to play console games on
It
a
is.
PC.
You can
I think
actually
do that with
play-
the older ones.
You can actually play PlayStation games. You can play the Game Boy ones. But going back, you can play PlayStation, Xbox, and I have played Nintendo 64 and GameCube games on my PC with. And actually, you can take an Xbox 360 controller, any controller with a USB port, and use it
and plug
for
it
your
in.
emulators, which is another thing I was going to bring up because once again,
Or
it's
even
peop-
modern games.
yeah,
The main modern games have the option on the PC to play using a controller.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing also where you can bring in that aspect again. You're like, oh, I like sitting down with the controller in my hand, not a mouse and a button. Well, you can now, and then now it's so you can actually just use the controller and plug in your computer and use it. That's how far it's come along. And once again, though, the computer isn't necessarily built for gaming. There are computers built for gaming. Where an everyday computer, though, is built for almost anything. Internet, drawing, writing, stuff like that. It's something where it's an all-purpose use. You can use it for gaming, but if you want a gaming computer, you need to go and specifically buy one. Because the computers, if you want like the great graphics quality and stuff like that, there are computers more built for it than, say, go to Staples and buy a $500 PC or $600 one or something like that.
Well, actually,
yeah.
like that does lead on to a good misconception that a lot of people have, is that you need to spend a lot of money to play games on computers because there's been like advancements in technology and things. you can buy a computer for £400 to £500, and it will play anything.
Yeah.
On the market today, and the only reason I paid a little bit more for mine was because I needed. In fact, I didn't even upgrade the graphics past like medium level. The reason I needed it was because of the processor, so I could render videos like really quickly.
He means processor, people, for those of you who don't speak British. But
for those of you who don't speak proper English, I'm sorry.
Processor.
I think actually, like Joel, you say processor, don't you? Do you say processor?
Say it the same way he did.
You say
because
processor?
like it's a process.
Processor?
It's not a process.
I said processor.
All right then. All right. Anyways.
Anyway, hold on. Can I just real quick mention
ponies?
Ponies. Hey, I was going to mention though that about as of close to about 20 minutes ago, we sat down at this little meeting and said we are going to end all the silly fighting about what system or computer is better. We have since then begun by insulting Mac, then insulting the PS4, then taking jabs at Xbox, then taking jabs at consoles in general, and finally talking about how stupid console plebs are for their inability to comprehend.
Well, we're not necessarily calling them stupid.
Wait,
you're just taking yourself to the extreme.
I've been innocent for this entire thing.
I'd like to just quickly justify myself in this. We are getting round to it, but it kind of has to get worse before it gets better because, yes, we may be insulting the people who like moan and say consoles are better.
But we insult everyone.
The fact is that they're doing it without any real justification, so it's kind of it's not okay, but it's kind of like we do need to point that out to people who.
That's fine. I'm just bringing back up the point for all of us. Just remember. We are getting around to the point.
We're getting around to the point of something. What was the wait? What was the point? I already forgot. What was the point?
It's just.
I seriously forgot the point. What was it?
Legitimately, we're trying to talk about how all the systems are actually equally good in their own ways. It's just
okay, yeah.
Now that's what I'm saying. Like, if we sum it down into its basic. Yeah, it does not even work, but into its like most basic roots. PCs, gaming-wise, PCs are better in the respect that they're more kind of
adaptable.
Flexible.
They're adaptable and flexible.
Consoles are better because they're cheap. Like, they're the best way into gaming because you can play any game on it. Because even if they've lowered the graphics and things, it's like it means that it will definitely run on that console. And as long as they've brought it out on that system, you can pay like less than it would cost for a PC and play that game perfectly fine. So it's good for younger people as well.
You may pay a bit more, but you also are guaranteed that you're going to be able to play your game.
Yeah.
And there's
not having to buy anything extra just to
exactly. Like with some of the PC stuff also, there are some things where if you download something, you'll have to download this so it can work. What? What?
Go ahead, Joel.
Oh, everything broke for him. That's okay.
So we're moving on to the topic of Macs now.
No. Mac.
No. But
actually, we do need to go on to that subject because we haven't actually talked about them.
Well, yeah, but I was going to finish up with just that. I was just stating that with PC games, you will sometimes have to download something in order to run the game, like with Minecraft or something, which isn't. If you call yourself a gamer and you play Minecraft, you're not a gamer, and it's true. I play Minecraft. I'm terrible at it.
Minecraft is the best of all possible games. No, I like Minecraft though.
It's fun. I die and scream a lot, so it's entertaining. But the thing is that
can't be as bad as Animal Crossing, I guess.
Animal Crossing. I played that game for a long time. But back to my point, back to my point real quick. You do sometimes have to download something in order to play a certain game. Whereas, like you were saying, with the console, you get the console, get the game, plug it in, and you could play it right then and there.
Aren't there still downloads on the console, though?
There are sometimes. It depends.
Because, I mean, the thing is that if, like, for instance, Minecraft on the console, to upgrade, or for any game that has a patch that comes out for it, you'll still have to download it.
Yeah, that's why.
The updated version.
That's also kind of why I liked a bit simpler consoles. Like I said, with the stuff becoming more and more, adding on to the nice features. I have my original Xbox sitting right here. It runs just fine, plays the games I want. Which, by the way, during that stream, I did find the Tetris game. I was mad because it was sitting right up here in my drawer. Anyway,
And by the time this comes out, that no one's going to remember
that stream even happened.
anyway,
2 more streams out by then.
there's some people who remember. I'm sure Jackaroo will remember, but anyways,
Well,
Jakuro.
I think it's going to be about 8 weeks until this actually comes out. So
This is true. I think they'll remember. Anyway, my old Xbox, I don't need to update it because it's not internet featured really. There are no internet features really that you need for it. Same with PlayStation 2. I can plug in my games and just play them like that. No updates needed. The game is as is, and the console will just run. And that's a simple console right there. That's all you really need. I kind of don't like the newer ones because you do have to get update this. You have to do Wi-Fi.
I
stuff
do
like
actually hate. One thing I absolutely hate is the fact that Microsoft makes you pay for the internet.
that is kind of BS.
It is
You
a
know,
little bit, yeah.
Because if you think about it, like every other platform, PCs, Macs, any other console,
Nintendo.
Yeah,
the
so-
internet comes as part of your thing. And you buy your platform, and then it's yours, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But, for Xbox, you have to pay like monthly subscriptions and things to the internet, and I just think it's
And before any of you decide to go out and mention that you can pay for Sony's system, I'm a big Microsoft fan. I got an Xbox. I love Microsoft. You cannot make that comparison. Sony's system, you can pay for it, but the actual online gaming is free, and the paid service gives you more things, whereas the Xbox service is just giving you the bare minimum that you get for free from Sony. Sony absolutely did better than Microsoft in that respect.
Yeah.
Sony has a lot of problems with a lot of its things, but one thing it doesn't is its internet service.
Yeah. And same with Xbox has its features as well.
It started out kind of weird.
Yeah.
Microsoft, I will say, actually, on that subject, does make you pay through the nose for a lot of the things, like Windows 7. I was looking at it recently.
Hey, at least you don't have Windows 8.
£80. And yeah, we could do a whole discussion on Windows 8 and just.
I need to use it first in order to talk about it. If you want me to get Windows 8, I will, people. Just comment below if you want AR to go buy Windows 8.
It would be good because...
I have Windows 8. I hate Windows 8 so much.
See, that's the thing I was thinking of, because it doesn't... Unlike every other Windows operating system before it, it doesn't work the same at all. It's basically designed for their tablets, but they've put it on the PC as well. And it's really, it doesn't work, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's like if you took all the worst elements of Vista and added them to an iPad and then put it on your PC.
Yeah.
That actually that is a good comparison.
That is a very good comparison.
It does look very
but
Apple-y.
We're not talking about operating systems.
iPads are just giant iPods that suck.
We all go quiet as he sings, but
Then there's like an iPod Mini, which is an iPad Mini, which is basically just an iPod. Okay.
Actually, no. The iPod Touch and then the iPad Mini, it's actually a little bit bigger. I was shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a bit bigger.
Is.
Here's the thing about iPod. You wanted it bigger. We made it bigger. You want it smaller again. Why do we need to make another one? Just buy the iPod if you want.
I know,
small.
seriously.
I would say actually that I think the reason people buy Apple products, particularly all of these iPads and things,
it's the name.
It's because they've marketed it so well. It's like there are things,
and they never go down in price.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Is like the iPod, and all of the first touchscreen tablets and things have all been done before Apple, but they weren't marketed as well, so they all failed within 6 months. There was one, I think it was by Sony or Samsung or someone like that, released a tablet.
I think it was Samsung.
Yeah, and it completely failed because they didn't put any marketing into it. But Apple, they started off with a really good marketing thing, and then kept releasing all of these aesthetically pleasing, fancy little handy products, and everybody bought them.
And everything connected. They made everything so that if you had an Apple one thing, you had to get the Apple other things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They marketed very well with Apple.
Very well.
Apple's done very well. But another thing also with Apple, they did not invent the computer. Apple did not create the first operating system either, the Macintosh. There were computers similar to the Mac, but they took it and they redid it. They added things like what would be a nice feature. Like the original computer before, I think it was called a Xenon. I don't remember right now. It's been a while since.
That sounds right. Yes.
But anyway, it was before the Macintosh came out. What they had, They had a key-controlled operating system where you can go through different menus with the arrow keys and stuff like that. Click enter, but there was no mouse at all, so you couldn't do anything with that. And it was simple. It was a basic operating system where you can just use some keys and control like that. Mac went in, and they redid it to the fact where you can have a mouse that incorporates with the screen. You can have icons on your desktop, and you can drag and drop windows and have multiples of them open. That was their simple idea they started with, and that's what they've come up with. And since we're on Mac right now, like we said, Apple has done very well in marketing, which is why everyone goes for them. Their products, they tend to be of good quality for the most part, depending what you get, I think.
In fact, actually, I would just quickly say, on the subject of like what Apple has actually invented, another example is, you know, those magnetic power cords that automatically magnet themselves into the socket?
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Those are cool. I have one for my Mac because
I can't remember where those were. Actually, I think it'll be for laptops, Joel. If you've got a desktop, I don't.
I have a laptop on my Mac where you I hit the charger. It's magnetically sealed into here, where you click and it goes in.
Yeah,
it's magnetic.
Was it?
That was invented. I think that was actually invented in like.
It was not Mac, but
Japan or something.
Yeah,
like that.
But once again, it is taking something and rehashing it. Everything, for the most part today, is a remake of something. And because we take original ideas and add our own touch to them. That's what a lot happens. Like Apple did with the Xenon or whatever it was. They took that basic idea they used, and they use it for their own purposes. And it's done so well that, like I said, everyone goes for it. But once again, Mac isn't really a gaming operating system for the most part. You can use it, but overall, Mac is more for the programs that are available to it other than games. Mac is a work kind of computer. You can use it for games. People do. There are people who use Mac and game with them. They're insane. But the thing is that, once again, it's what it's built for. Mac is more for work. With good programs, you can do some gaming, but overall, it's limited to work mostly. PC, you can do almost anything.
Well, I would say, actually, just quickly, like, going back to the subject of what Apple's actually invented, there is a very good video, which I'll put a link to, and I've just put a link there, which describes, like, a long list of all the things that Apple have not invented, basically, is what it's saying, and all the things that they have. On the subject of what Macs are capable of, if we compare them to PCs, we've kind of not... If we take consoles out of the equation for a second and just focus on Mac and PC, Macs are generally like considered the industry standard for
a lot of things.
Creative.
It's like Adobe. Adobe is the industry standard for a lot of high-end stuff.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's Mac always has the video editing software. It has the good artistic software. For the longest time,
Which is
in
why
fact, it's funny that you mentioned Cabral. That you mentioned how Mac is the work computer and PC is the everything else computer. Because the thing is, for a long time, what it was PC was your work computer. It was the computer that ran.
It was, but nowadays it's switched around.
But Mac has always been the computer of the artist, the video editor, the painter.
But
I would say, though, the only other thing is that, like Adobe, being the industry standard, they're normally extremely expensive compared to what you actually get inside them, compared to if you bought the same things in a PC, because I found that when I looked at mine.
Yeah, and actually, my MacBook Pro, I have a MacBook Pro. I bought it for $2,200 with a student discount, so I saved about $400. But
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, I got this. I was actually looking at an electronics store called Fry's in Sacramento. I was looking for another PC because I didn't want to. Mac would have been very nice, and it was going to be a birthday gift for my parents, so I wasn't going to complain. But I said maybe I can find something cheaper, so you don't have to pay that much. I found a Lenovo computer, which I have owned Lenovo before. They're very nice computers, but it had basically the same specs and a little bit more than a MacBook Pro at $1,100. But once again, it's the name. My dad insisted on a Mac because the name Apple. It's about branding. It's really what it is, and the way. And I'm just repeating myself now, but it's the name. Everyone goes for the name.
Well, it's a bit like Intel is normally considered the industry standard of processing units.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, even though they're more expensive than AMD, which is the other main competitor, people will normally say, like, I've got an Intel i7-3770, that's my one, by the way, just because they want to sound like they've got a lot of money and their computer's amazing, when actually...
I have an Intel Core on my MacBook as well. It's a Core i7, so...
And while the i7-3770K is a good processor, it's not the absolute best processor you could ever get.
No,
ever.
It's not. But like I said, my MacBook Pro is not the highest end MacBook Pro there is. I got the... It's a bit downgraded from the highest end there is, but still.
Yeah. And, I'm not saying there's a massive difference in prices, but Macs do tend to be that little bit more expensive.
They are. And once again,
Every
it is the
penny
name.
counts.
The name has to do with everything with Apple.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I do find a lot of people always go, oh, I've got the Apple such and such with this, this, and this. And to me, that doesn't really mean anything in terms of, like, they've got the name, so they must have a lot of money. It makes me think they're trying to buy all of the latest Apple products to make it seem like they've got all of the best things.
Like with the
because
newest...
Apple doesn't always do it best, but they market it well.
But they do. They market it well, and they build them well. But they aren't. But sometimes they aren't always the best. They do build them well. Once again, though, going back to like names, Linux. There are a lot of people who have never heard of Linux. It's very interesting hearing that. But once going off the name thing a little bit with Linux, though, it is, for those of you who do not know Linux, it is a free operating system. It is a open source operating system you can download and install on your computer for free. All the programs for Linux are available to you to use for free. There is a slight catch. You have to know a bit of programming.
And that does put a lot of people off, actually.
It does, and that's the thing with it.
For the casual user, like, if someone wants to buy like a £200 computer just to go on the internet and do some light schoolwork, they're not going to want to have to learn coding and things like that.
Yeah,
so
but
it's slightly more advanced, but it is free.
It is. But the thing also with learning coding, there is a huge market for that. If you know coding, there are people who are too lazy to learn it. They will pay you to do the coding on their computer. But going off Linux a little bit more, I use Linux. I'm literally sitting next to a PC, my desktop PC, a Mac, and I have used Linux for a long time. I am impartial to any of the operating systems, and with Linux, though, I like it because it is customizable like a PC, and the programs run well. Some of the features are very Mac-like. Also, they have that sort of mix in between with them. Plus, their mascot is a penguin. You cannot argue with that. And but once again, the programs are very limited to Linux because it is open source. There are not a lot of people willing to make free programs for people because where's the money in making something free for someone to download? Besides sponsorships.
Everything is pretty much the equivalent of fan mods.
Exactly.
Because there are no companies that are going to make things for Linux.
Yeah.
Which is the idea of Linux.
And so...
This is where the programming comes in, because you kind of need to know how to make your own system when none are available.
Yeah. But if you are someone who does like programming and messing with the operating system's features where you can change it yourself, or even the programs and how they run, you can get Linux, because it is fun to mess with. I learned a bit from my friend Luke when messing with it. He's a very big Linux fan, which good for him. He has Windows also. But anyways, once again, it's just comparing to what they're built for. Linux, compared to Mac, like you said, is for the artist and creative. Nowadays, it's a bit more work because it's industry standard for a lot of things. PC is more for the home user. Linux is more for the computer junkie.
Although, actually, having said that computers are more for home use, PCs like that run Windows and everything still tend to be the industry standard in most schools.
Yeah, they are for most schools. I don't know about.
In fact, actually, like basically schools and offices, like the more creative workplaces, like editing suites and things like that. We have an editing suite that's newly been like put in our place, and it's got Macs and everything in it.
My school has both Mac and PC. They literally have a bunch of rooms.
We have the majority of PC because they're cheaper.
Yeah, they are cheaper.
And you can get loads of them on a network, and Macs, we've just got a room full of Macs.
My brother, who was in middle school when he was in 6th grade, all the children got iPads and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, they're starting to do that
they
now.
started
iPads.
giving away laptops on
iPads.
loan to students.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, that's ridiculous.
It is.
Especially iPads. Like,
Yeah.
for what possible purpose could you need to give?
Well,
like,
possible purpose with a
iPads?
6th grader.
Well,
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's actually the thing is, if you think about it, it's actually extremely clever what Apple did there.
It is. Apple, yeah.
They gave away this big thing. It's very charitable. It's a huge public relations boost. It gets kids to get their hands on computers, which will help them to develop skills that they're going to need when they grow up in a world.
Especially with tablets, those are becoming more and more common now.
Yeah, that's becoming increasingly computer reliant. But most importantly for Mac, this is an entire generation being raised on Apple as a default product.
I know. It's almost slightly kind of... I mean, it's like when I'm doing an IT A-level at the moment, and they were talking about one of the massive problems with having everyone with tablets and things like that. Particularly, we were talking about in a medical scenario, but it works in the real world as well. Is people become too reliant on technology.
That is true as well.
I think we can all agree that we do it to a degree as well. Like, when we need to look something up, we say, I'll go and Google it. We don't say, I'm just going to quickly nip down to the library and check it out in a book.
Another story about my brother.
Everyone sit down, get some popcorn, gather around. Come on, kids.
Shut up. Shut up. When he asks a question to his teacher, she just tells him to look it up on the internet.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It does, this is what we were saying about doctors and things. If you can look up, things without having to learn it and remember it, it takes the skill out of doing the job, and you start to lose that kind of a doctor won't be as skilled if he just has to look up all of his answers on Google.
Now,
just like a pilot doesn't have to be they'll still train them to the same degree.
To be fair, we can argue that point all day. Though you do have to remember the reverse of. You can make the same argument as to, yes, I know, the doctor, he seems very skilled, but have you seen how many times he had to look up things in a book?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. If we're just going to have a written language, we're just, allowing our medical men to, rely on the work of others when they should be, learning from...
Exactly.
They should be reading that. I mean,
okay,
it is actually a fair point you bring up. I just, am saying that for every argument, there's a counter argument.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's resuming, by the way, so sorry about that.
Actually, I think this actually might be a good time for a little break.
You could have said that before the recording cut out.
Do you mind if I quickly sum up then? Everything?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Basically, what we're saying is consoles are good because they're cheaper. PCs are better because they're more flexible, and Macs are better because they have good software.
The software for Mac are very good.
While not all the software for other platforms works with Mac, they do work very hard to bring loads of really good creative software. But I would also say that while it might not be the exact same, you can do everything on a Mac the exact same on a PC, but just a different program to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, the advantage of the Mac is that it's convenient. Mac is very good.
Very convenient. Everything's integrated and everything. Yeah. That is the main high point of Mac.
Yeah. It's very easy, which is very nice.
All right.
So let's take a 5-minute break, and we will be back to you guys in just a moment.
Yes.
We'll be back after these brief messages.
Now.
Good.
Joel, you ready? Okay.
Yep.
And I think that's actually a good point to take a little break, so we'll be back in just one moment.
I thought we already did that.
And welcome back to End to End Presents an Interview. I'm Duhad, and joining me once again is Non-Avlis. Howdy, Nani.
Hi, world.
So how have you been doing?
I've been doing just fine, thank you.
Good to know. So last week we talked about the first generation of the show, the two different shows that comprise the first generation, and a little bit about season 4. To start off this week, I'm actually kind of curious. You got into the first generation by watching, by finding toys and getting into that, and I assume you've kind of followed the series to, through that. But as of Generation 3 and Generation 3.5, you started kind of tailoring off a little bit on watching the cartoons because they were aimed at a younger audience. What brought you back for Season 4?
Well, I actually sort of gave up My Little Pony altogether when G3 started turning towards G3.5, and when it actually went to G3.5, I was horrified. But
Why was that?
well, the toys to me didn't look like the ponies I remembered from my childhood, with their makeup and their plastic hair. It was different.
Ah.
But
Wait, hold on. They had makeup and plastic hair?
some of them, yes.
Ooh.
They were like
So-
pocket ponies.
Oh, lordy. Okay, so you'd given up on the series altogether, on the franchise altogether, I should say. So again, what brought you back for the fourth season or generation? Sorry.
Well, you know how quickly bronies picked up on that, and it was all over the internet. And I was seeing it, and I didn't know what it was at first, but a friend on a forum had put a picture of Twilight Sparkle in her signature, and I asked her what that was, and she said it was My Little Pony, and I was like, what?
What's this show about brightly colored magical talking ponies? Is My Little Pony?
To me, I thought it was some weird Powerpuff Girls thing. And so
Makes
at
sense,
first,
I suppose.
seeing the new art style, I was very off-put. I was never a fan of Powerpuff Girls or any of the Cartoon Network style shows. The art style, I find it very, it's
Go ahead.
abrasive,
It's all right.
I guess.
Abrasive.
I don't know, it repels me a little bit, but everyone was telling me what a good show it was, everyone who wasn't my pony collector friends. So
Oh.
I sort of had to give it a try, and I found out that while the art style is definitely different from what I was used to, the characters and the stories were close to G1 enough that I could enjoy it and watch it again.
Well, that's good to know. Though you said that the people who didn't advise the show to you were your other collector friends. Do you know, were they not fans of the show, or did they just not have a particular, drive to ask other people to start watching it?
Pardon, dear?
What I'm asking is, your collector friends, were they not a fan of G4, or do they continue to not be a fan of G4, or is it just that they weren't, advising it to you?
Well, at the time, I only had one collector friend who I was like talking to daily, and she was also on the forum with my other friends who were watching the show, and was in on a conversation where we were talking about it, and I was thinking about going to watch it, and she was very confused, I suppose, because we'd always talked about G1 together and just fawned over that in our childhood, and it was sweet, but she could not believe that I would consider, like, going into the new fandom of Generation 4 and everything with the bronies and the Powerpuff Girl art style. She was quite visibly horrified.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, I
it's
actually
not just
do
bronies who hate on the other generations. There are G1 collectors and fans who are not quite keen on the bronies.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that the fandom has managed to not only unite people in love, but also in hate. It's always good to know. But no, that actually is fair, I suppose. I do remember reading once that there's a lot of old school fans of the previous generations who'd been fans for years, who were rather upset about the fact that they'd spent a lot of time dedicating themselves to the show and to this fandom and to collecting this stuff, and suddenly the whole brony movement, the Gen 4 movement comes along, and suddenly they're out in the cold, and it's sort of like, hey, we were here the entire time, and now it's suddenly a big deal because all these new people have started getting involved? Really?
I definitely
how is that
saw
fair?
a lot of that online, where people were upset that bronies were sort of taking over the pony thing and changing our image as collectors. But I think we've come to the point now where bronies and then the old school fans and collectors are quite separate things, and people know this.
That's good to know.
I
I'm
consider
glad
myself
that
both,
yeah.
but
I am also glad to hear that, because if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't be sitting down here at this at this little conversation, as we probably would not have met, since I am not a collector of the earlier generations, and it would have been rather difficult to to arrange this sort of thing.
yes, indeed.
But tell me, actually, this is a question that's been bugging me since our last interview. You were talking about how the second generation did not actually was like the cartoon series that is often associated with the second generation is in fact not really a Gen 2 cartoon, but a Gen 1 cartoon, and that the toys associated with it are actually Gen 1 toys, despite the fact that they actually, were boxed and packaged with advertising for the Gen 2.
The first generation toys were not repackaged in packages for G2. It was just the videos. But
just the videos.
I believe part of the confusion is that the My Little Pony toy lines have always lasted longer in the UK. So the toys for the second cartoon of the first series, I don't remember exactly right now because I can't remember every single pony thing, but it's quite possible that they were only released in the UK and thus not to the North American people, and that indeed the cartoon may have been running when the G2 line picked up, but it is still a G1 cartoon.
All right. Well, that's fair, I suppose. So I am kind of curious, though. What separates the second gen from the first gen toys in terms of toys? I know that the second show, as part of the first generation, was entirely using what the fourth gen has now, kind of designated as Earth ponies, as non-unicorn, non-Pegasi. So what was, in the second the second show within the thing, it only used those, but the first series did use all three races. Was the second generation a mix, or was the second generation all Earth ponies as well, all non-unicorns and Pegasi as well? Or
first, I'm going to have to correct you. The second cartoon did have Pegasus ponies. They were in only one episode where they were designated as ponies from space, but ponies from space were Pegasus ponies, and I believe there may even have been an alicorn, but I'm not sure.
Really?
So there was some species range. It's just that Earth ponies were from Earth, and other breeds of ponies were from other places.
Huh. Okay, that's actually surprisingly awesome.
I kind of like the idea of sparkly space pony Pegasuses. I like it. But the G2 toys, cool. I have a shelf of them here. As far as I know, there were unicorns for sure. I know this. But I don't think there were ever any ponies that were released as Pegasuses where the wings didn't come off and were therefore an accessory.
Huh. So they did release Pegasi toys.
There were Pegasuses and like flutter ponies and stuff, but the wings were saddles. They came off.
And the flutteresses, those are the butterfly wings, I'm guessing.
The butterfly wing ponies are called windy wings. The flutter ponies are the ones with the clear, iridescent wings that sort of look like clouds.
Huh. I don't think I've actually seen those. So I will have to do a bit of homework on that and check those out, because I'm now curious.
Go watch the My Little Pony movie, The End of Flutter Valley. They'll battle the Smoos.
Seriously? Okay, I'm gonna have to put that on my to-watch list. You are inspiring. So, okay, well, we're running a little low on time, but I do have one last question. Actually, you mentioned a little bit ago about the space ponies, and I'm going to call them that from now on because that name is too awesome to not use. There might have been a space alicorn. Before Gen 4, do you know, like, for certain any alicorns that were in the show?
No, I don't think there ever actually were any alicorns in the show, unless one of those space ponies was an alicorn, but I believe she may have had magic without a horn, which would again be noteworthy, but...
Also. So yeah, that is actually interesting, because I wasn't entirely sure if G4 had invented... Well, obviously I hadn't invented an alicorn, because alicorns are... that name existed before the show, so obviously it existed, but introduced them to the franchise, which, now they're a fairly integral part of the show. So, it's kind of funny imagining them as actually something that was introduced as part of the reintroduction of the series in, episode 1 of G4.
What might be interesting to note about alicorns is that the name alicorn doesn't actually refer to the species, but the name alicorn, or the word alicorn, actually means the material a unicorn's horn is made out of. So technically calling the alicorns doesn't actually work.
Wait, hold on a second. You're saying that the term alicorn refers to the material a unicorn's horn is made out of?
Yes, it does. You can look it up.
See, I said that in episode 1.
Pegasus unicorns are pegacorns.
Son of a bee. I said that in episode 1, and someone corrected me and said, no, that alicorn refers to a winged unicorn.
Alicorn has now come to refer to a winged unicorn by many, many misuses of the word over and over, but it's technically incorrect.
You heard it here first, folks. Novellis absolutely just whatever made me right. I'm right.
Yay!
I'm the smartest. Yay. Okay. Well, we're actually over time for this week, but I will hopefully see you again next week. And back to our regularly scheduled podcast. Yeah, this is going to be put at the end of the bit we recorded before we started the podcast.
Okay.
Is this all going in the podcast?
Yes.
No, oh God.
Yes, put it in the podcast.
And we're back.
Oh,
well, guys.
I had no idea.
I couldn't help but notice that throughout this entire thing, we've not talked at all about ponies.
It's
and
your
I
fault.
I like the fact that we're able to talk about something apart from ponies every now and then, but I think we're about to lose our brony cards.
Oh,
so
please.
Does anyone have anything they want to talk about in terms of fandom?
Equestria Girls.
I was going to say the new animation that came out, but Equestria Girls works too. We can talk about that animation at some other point.
What new animation that came out?
Friendship is Magic Prelude.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah. Okay, I haven't finished watching that yet, so I can't comment on it.
I didn't finish watching it,
I
but
have
we can
not
talk about
seen
that later.
So
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways,
Yeah,
back to
no,
Equestria Girls.
Equestria
Equestria-
Girls picture is getting linked.
Okay.
horror, the horror.
The horror.
Anyways.
Oh, don't tell me I crashed again.
What?
See, now
God damn it, I did.
he's
Well,
going. No, he's okay.
so
I think he's
It's a picture.
Okay.
look here.
Bloody hell, I lagged out again. What was that?
Nothing. In fact,
Nothing. We actually could hear you, so.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be any problem with the podcast. Anyway, so Equestria Girls. Last time we talked about them, we were talking about how hideous the art design was and how they looked like they probably wouldn't animate very well.
It's
Yeah.
gotten worse / better.
Yeah, the new models look a heck of a lot more fluid, while also looking significantly more awful.
Yeah.
At the same time.
They've got like their mark on their clothes somewhere and on their face. It's like a weird tattoo.
They've got gang cat tattoos. Rainbow Dash actually has the crying man tattoo, where the lightning bolt replacing the teardrop.
Mm.
She must be from my family, because
yeah,
my
yeah.
family members have those.
I literally am horrified beyond
Yeah,
belief.
I mean, they look more. This is going to be like the first ever publicly like aired anthropomorphic show or something like that. 'Cause they've got wings and
Weird ears.
ears.
Crazy
Ah!
hair that
Sorry.
crazy
reminiscent of
hair
tails.
that looks like a
If
tail.
you're going to make them this anthropomorphic, keep them as ponies.
Yes, seriously.
Yeah,
But interesting
also,
thing.
they're all weird colours.
Yeah, an
so-
interesting thing about it also is, well, I mean, the whole thing is
Just
interesting,
the
but
thing about them going into high school,
well, no.
be like high school girls.
It's more of also the Twilight and Rarity do not have their horns in this, which I found kind of odd.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be. I think. Well, it's weird actually because that's a good point. They've included wings, which are already abnormal enough in the human world, but then they thought putting horns in would be a step too far. So they can fly perfectly fine.
We're not
but
going to
using
give them
magic.
horns. What?
Oh no!
This is clearly a world where half human, half angels with horrifyingly discolored skin exist. So,
Yeah.
horns would just look creepy. They'd be the devil, but no, wings and blue skin is fine.
Yeah.
It's Doug's World evolved.
It's
They've
interesting.
They've ruined this show that made me get faith back into animation.
It's probably not a
Well,
part
as
of
long
the
as
canon.
it's part of the main canon. That's not exactly ruining the show. It's just ugly.
Yeah. And also, once again, we still can't really judge it except for on looks. We obviously don't like its looks, but once again, for story...
You obviously have never talked to a critic of animation before.
No, I haven't. But no, like you said, we don't like it for looks or the way it'll probably be animated. But another thing also, story. I am very curious about the story for this, if there is any at all. That is...
Better be good.
I know, right? I'm very
You better
curious
not
as
make
to
this
how...
like a high school thing. Otherwise, I will be sincerely coming at their door. Ready to smash them.
There better be explosions somewhere.
Hold on. We're running a little bit low on time, and I think there's one last thing we wanted to talk about.
There's no
before
time
we,
limit.
There is when people are trying to get into my recording studio and use it.
Did
for
you
a
literally
gaming
just like
room.
shut the door on them and put a chair there? You can't come in. Let us in. No, I'm busy recording.
It's like an apocalypse. You literally I can hear them scratching at the door. They'll be in a second. We're gonna have to end it.
Yeah,
after.
he's had to bar the doors. Hurry,
This
finish
just in, Duhad's being attacked by zombies.
again.
It's terrifying, and Doom is coming
Imminent.
soon. So before that happens, though, I was really hoping we could at least very briefly mention the fact that Main Six, which recently by when we originally recorded this, I'm sure it's going to be old news by the time this comes out.
Well, these six even this
Got a cease and
releases.
desist from Hasbro, but they have recently decided that not only are they going to keep on going anyway, just changing everything to make it an original property, but the person who's going to help them create that new original property for them to make their game in is none other than Lauren Faust.
The one and only, and then a heavenly choir will sing in the background. And lights will flash, except no, because I can't take the time to animate that.
But so I look forward to further productions with them as well. Although they may have something by the time this comes out. I mean, by the time this comes out, maybe the world ended. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of things that can happen at the time that this comes out and when we record it. But
The world ending is not likely to be
But
one
yeah.
of them, but okay.
so are there wings that actually have feathers?
Yes, at least that's what the animation looks like.
Yeah,
Are you sure it's
like,
not
yeah, they-
skin
they're feathered.
with lines?
that
Oh
would
my
be
god, that's
really,
horrifying.
that would be horrific. You can't fly with skin wings.
Well, bats do, but I mean that still doesn't help with the whole horrifying
I
thing.
mean,
There's
like,
a
no,
dog
it
attacking me.
wouldn't. Bats is understandable because they're like in proportion. You could not fly with skin wings. In fact, you couldn't fly with feathered wings, even if you were a person.
Oh
Unless
my
your
God, this
bones
is
are
turning
hollow.
this is turning into body horror. This is
How the hell do they even like connect with the rest of the muscular, skeletal?
It'd be on the
muscles?
scapula where the shoulders are around there. It'd probably be around there.
I know. What about the muscles though? Because the muscles to work, everything else would get in the way of the muscles for the wings, and it just.
This just in, Equestria Girls is being directed by hell, what's his name? David Cronenberg.
J.J.
David
Abrams.
Cronenberg.
Who is
It's
it?
Cronenberg. It's skin wings and
God.
horrible painted skins, but it's all played completely straight in a human world.
No, you know who takes it over? Joe Schumacher.
Oh my gosh.
No. The point is,
I've just had
Cronenberg
it.
is famous for horrifying body horror and.
I have an
practical-
idea.
Yeah.
They were all in a coma when they were ponies, and they've just woken up after a horrible Chernobyl-style
A
incident,
Chernobyl style incident. There you go.
and they've all got different pigments in their skin, and they've all grown bits of body that shouldn't be there.
Oh my god! I actually kind of want to see this movie now.
And you know what? No. That explains why their hair is so long.
Yeah, they all turn into like ape people with extra wings and things.
I'm just going to say I'm going to enjoy Mystery Science featuring 3000ing this horrible production.
Oh my god. Well, hey, listen, guys. I think we're just about out of time. At least
We don't
I'm
really
saying
have
so,
time
and
limits.
therefore,
But
Yeah.
the zombies are
I'm
breaking down
sick
his
of
door,
this.
so.
Yes. Now, anyway, before we go, what did
No.
everyone learn today, Cabral?
Dear Princess Joel. Wait, no, not Joel. Duhad. Today, I have learned that skin wings are really creepy. Mac markets well, and Linux is for computer junkies. Wait, I already knew that.
Yeah.
I have learned that driving for 5 hours messes with your brain. Straight. Yeah, 5 hours straight. That was a long drive.
Yeah,
Straight up.
you were driving a lot recently. Okay, Joel, what did you learn?
What did I learn? Well,
You-
today I learned
Hello.
that Hasbro is horrible at making decisions regarding
Wait, that's not
ruining,
news. That's old
beautiful
news.
pieces of art. Yes, that's not news. I learned that talking about computers and consoles is scary.
Mhm.
And that I will definitely be making a review with Lightning Rabbit about Equestrian Girls in the near future.
What about me?
Yes. And me. Your old pal.
You-
You
You get
No, Duhad, you're
you
no
guys
one's
can be
friend.
Part of it too, except it's
Yeah.
going on my channel. So,
I don't
yeah.
care.
Okay, fine. I'll be a jerk. Anyway, so this is not going to be the podcast anymore. No, okay.
What have you learned
Anyway,
today,
no,
Princess
seriously,
Duhad?
though, what What? I was gonna say lightning, Rabbit. What
Oh.
did you learn first?
I just learned that I'm going to be part of a review of Adventure with Joel. I also learned that I should
I owe you.
probably explain all of the computer language I use a bit better, or at least direct people to links, places where they can understand it too, because not everyone understands computer language.
I understand computer language, like African.
No one cares.
Fair enough.
Just like I understand African.
Well, personally, I learned that I don't know nearly as much about computers as I thought I did. That the more horrible a dictatorship your country is, the better your national anthem is.
It's
And
true.
that
That-
I never, ever, ever should, hope
Getting back
that
together.
anything is going to get better because it'll only ever get worse.
Hmm.
Anyway, for end to end, I've been Duhad. What have you?
I've been the Gothic hippie.
I've been Cabral 95.
I've been confusing you since the start with my computer language.
What are you, Delta?
That would be correct, Lightning Rabbit. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Get
Bye.
life.